Hi, everybody. My name is Holly, your friendly neighborhood Salesforce admin and solution engineer. And today I'm going to walk you through an app that I made on the Salesforce platform to track mileage called very creatively the Mileage Tracker. And I'm on the back end of my org right now. We go to the app launcher and we can see under apps, Mileage Tracker. So let's check it out. Great. Okay, so this is what users see when they log into the mileage tracker. And this is an app that's really great for businesses that have employees that are regularly traveling for business purposes, and they need users to track the mileage so that ultimately they can be reimbursed. Okay, so this app does that. And when users land on this page, they can see their recent trips that they've logged, and then they can also create new trips right here. So they can click this new button here. They can import trips. So if they have an Excel sheet, a Google sheet with all of the information, they can go ahead and import it into the org. But let's go ahead and check out how users do that. So they can click new, and they are going to see a few options. So I created multiple record types because while it's ultimately really nice when people record their start and end mileage, not everyone does. And if you don't have that information, you're not going to get reimbursed, right? Like, bummer, you make this business trip, you spend your time and effort, and then you don't get reimbursed for that. So I created a few record types for those folks that don't always remember to record their mileage, but they do have to know their destination. So if you know your destinations, you can track what those miles were and still get reimbursed. Okay, so let's check out what happens when a user does have their start and end mileage right here. Okay, so when users select this record type, this is a screen that they are brought to. Most of these fields, you'll notice, are required. They do have to end a date or enter a date, and they have to enter their starting, ending mileage. And you'll notice here, if we hover over these little doodads, we get some help text that guides users what sort of information to input into these fields. And so someone could enter their starting mileage, their ending mileage. They do have to say what their trip purpose was, right? Because if we want the finance department to cut those reimbursement checks, we need to know that it's for a legitimate business purpose. So they can enter their trip purpose. They do need to enter their email address in here. And this is important because it actually is part of an automation that I built into this app that we'll see later on. And then we also want users to enter an account related to this trip because, again, it needs to be business related for them to get reimbursed. And users will also have the option to enter any trip notes. So maybe they met at some sort of lunchtime grill, got some sandwiches, met with some executives. They can add business name, address, that type of thing, and then they can save the record. And when they do that, they are brought to this trip screen. So users land on a detail page for this trip that they just logged, and they can see the name, date, the starting ending mileage that they inputted. Let me move my ginormous head out of the way. And we'll see that there's a field here that automatically calculates the total trip mileage based on these two fields right here. And then I created a formula field that calculates that total trip mileage and multiplies it by the reimbursement rate. And you'll see that this company has a very generous reimbursement rate. I believe I set it at 62 cents. And so that is multiplied by this amount here to yield the total amount to be reimbursed. Awesome, right? Okay. And if we go, I believe, not this one, this one. Okay. So let's say users did not record that start and end mileage, but they know where they went, right? You have to know where you're going. They still need to enter the date of travel and then the miles to destination. So if you start at location A and you went to location B, all right, and you're just making that one stop and then you're going back. You put in how many miles it was to your destination. So let's say it was 7. You still need to enter your trip purpose, email address, and they still have to enter an account, right? We want legitimate business trips to be reimbursed. And I believe I have one of these records already open. Awesome. Okay, so again, we land on the record page for this trip. We see the information, we see the miles to destination. This one was 33. And again, the round trip mileage is automatically calculated for the user. They don't have to do that themselves. So I set a formula up to do that. And then again, they have the amount to be reimbursed based on their round trip mileage calculated for them. So we see that very generous reimbursement for this organization. Great, right? Okay, and we still, again, we have some options if we wanted to add some trip notes in here, some addresses perhaps, but we're not going to do that right now. And we have one more record type that I wanted to show you. This is when we have two destinations. And it's definitely encouraged that people ultimately remember to record their starting and end mileage. But when they don't, there is a backup plan, and that is recording this two destinations. So they still have to enter the date, miles to destination 1. So, okay, they start at location A. How many miles was it to their first stop? They can enter whatever the number, and then, okay, they needed another stop. So miles to destination 2. And there's some help text in here to guide users to input the right information into the right field. And we'll see this. All this information is provides an output what their total miles traveled were. All right, so they complete all this information. They save their record, and this is the record page that users are brought to. Again, a lot of the same information, and we see that total mileage automatically calculated for them and what their total reimbursements are. All right, pretty easy, right? And then here's a record type, one destination. It doesn't matter. I made an approval process for any trip that is over 100 miles needs to be submitted for approval. And you'll see right here, oh, okay, this round trip mileage is over 100 miles. It needs to be submitted for approval. And so a user could go ahead, submit this record for approval. I'm not going to do that because I actually already have. And we see that the approval process over here to the right, that it has been submitted and that it has been approved all by me because I'm the only one using this org right now. But I did set up some email templates and the approval process to automatically send emails to the right people when a trip has been submitted for approval. And then what happens when either that trip is approved or when it's denied. And I do believe I have some slides here. Okay, so this is the email notification that the approver receives when a user submits a record for approval. So we'll see like, hey, please approve my business trip. I've submitted a business trip over 100 miles. Please review, blah, blah, blah. Great. And then if it's approved, the user that submitted the record gets an email stating your business trip has been approved. No further action is needed. Thank you. Right? Okay. And then if the assigned approver does not approve that trip, this is the message that is sent out to the user. Your business trip is denied, and requesting additional details, documentation, and then asking the user to resubmit for approval. Awesome. And then we have one more here. I believe. Okay, and here's one thing that I did not mention so far. I also created this little checkbox. This employee has been reimbursed because a company needs a way to track whether a trip has been reimbursed. And so when the right user selects this checkbox, it actually triggers a flow and to send out an email alert to the user that submitted this trip. And this is what the flow does. It sends out an email alert to the user that submitted the trip originally. And it's saying like, hey, greetings, your recent trip has been reimbursed. You're enrolled in direct deposit. You can expect the funds in your account in 2 days. That's really fast. I haven't like ever experienced that sort of speed when it comes to these things in an organization. But hey, this place is super efficient. So yeah, I really liked making. It's a pretty simple flow, but it got the job done. And then one more thing that I did was to create several reports, and this is one of them, to track all the mileage and the amount to be reimbursed for all of them. So this report shows the different record types, how the total trip mileage to be reimbursed, and then gives a grand total here at the bottom. And I ultimately made the reports for this very pretty dashboard, as we can see. I can get my head out of the way. All right, so users are greeted with a colorful dashboard, and they can see how much needs to be reimbursed, what the total miles traveled are and to be reimbursed, and then how many trips have been submitted for reimbursement. So we can see a snapshot of what's happening with different trips, how many miles, and then the amount to be reimbursed. And if we keep scrolling here, we'll see that there's a more detailed table. So if users want to scroll through here, they can look at details about the different record types, the accounts, round trip mileage, and then the total reimbursements. And we can see if we scroll to the bottom that these figures here match up with these large snapshots at the top. So I'll go back to my trips. All right, everybody, that's it. A little quick, simple walkthrough of my mileage tracker Salesforce app. Thank you for watching. Bye.